All right, guys, thank you. I apologize for the tardiness. I was in traffic, so it's not Angie or Brandon or Glenn's fault. It's my fault. But we have Glenn here today. He's going to talk about appraisals and pricing your property correct so it could sell fast. And we also have the American team, Angie with title and Brandon with the NHD. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Angie first.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want me to, you're going to sit here or do you want me
I'll
to?
do both.
Okay, you know how to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't worry. Thank you. Move this over here. Alright. Hi guys again. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a question again about Ignite. Who's signed up and who's not signed up yet? Who's having issues logging in?
I haven't signed up.
Okay, I need to get you signed up.
Mhm.
If you can send me your information
Okay,
and then I'll get you signed up. Everybody else okay?
I haven't signed up yet.
Okay, send me, yeah, you're gonna have to send it to me because in August, I think August the 11th, we're shutting down My First AM.
Oh,
So if you guys are using that system for comps, you're gonna wanna make sure you send me an email with all your contact information so I can get you signed up.
okay.
Because once it's done, and you're gonna be trying to figure out how to get your property profiles, how to get your comps. It's really important that we get you signed up.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about comps today. The Price is Right. It's how you price your listing. And Glenn's gonna come in and talk about the appraisal part, and Brandon will talk about how to navigate that as well. I don't know what he's gonna talk about, but, so on my end, I wanted to also show you, because I know I showed you last time how to pull up a property profile, but I also wanted to remind you that our property profiles with our comps include for sale by owners. So not all title companies have the for sale by owner options, but ours is already included, so you don't even have to worry. So if you're only using Realist, you're not getting a very comprehensive number because you're limiting that portion of your comps. So I'm going to show you how to pull it on the comps on Ignite RE. And then also on Ignite RE, there's two options for pulling profiles. There's one on the system itself. And then when you go into farming tab, it takes you to a different system where there you can also pull up property profiles. So you can match up the numbers to see what the numbers are looking like, what the comps are looking at. So you can make sure you have a good solid number to work with for your listing and to show your buyers. So that's the most important part I wanted to show you. And I know last time, when I did the class, I told you that we could pull the owner occupied, non-owner occupied, and the foreclosures. Was I able to show you? I forgot if I was able to show you, or did I say I was gonna come back and show you? I think I was gonna come back and show you, right?
Yeah, I think we ran out of time.
Yeah, okay, let me show you that now so that we can start navigating through everything. Hey, everybody online. And let's see. Hi, do I do a share screen?
Yes.
There it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect.
Double click. There
Okay.
you go. Ask them if they can see it.
Okay, can you guys all see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, hi, Oscar. Is that Oscar?
Yes, how are you today?
I recognize your voice. Okay, so when you first log in, remember when you first log in, it's gonna ask you for a default. So the default options I told you before was, let me pull it up. And for everybody that's on Zoom, these booklets are going to be your tutorial to how to navigate in Ignite RE. I'm going to leave them in the brochure stand over there so you can navigate through them. But first, when you first log in, the first thing you're going to see is how to set up your dashboard, which is going to be on the first page for all the ones that are in here. And that's what it's going to look like. It's down here. So you're going to get these different boxes. The one you're going to want to click on is going to be the properties, which is the color in green. It'll be this one. So I can't show you that now because I already set it for properties, but that's why property shows up as the first thing you do when you log in. Okay. Okay. So when you log in, since I defaulted it to properties, this is the screen that you're going to see. And I told you how I could show you the foreclosures, the owner occupied and the non-owner occupied. So you see this little pencil over here on the right? You click on that and then you just draw where you want to draw to find out who has owner occupied and which ones are noticed as default. And then once it's finished loading, you're going to be able to see the different colors. So here are all the different colors. If you see it in blue, that means it's non-owner occupied. That means a renter lives there. If you see it in green, The green means it's owner occupied, which means you can go ahead and talk to that person because it's owner occupied. Or if you're trying to find the renters, then you go for the blues. And this list here, we don't see the red because there's no foreclosure people in this area. So let me see if I can pull something a little further out and see if I could find anything here. Oops. Oh, it's only letting me.
So foreclosure would be in red.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I could pull a red.
Hospital.
Let me see if I could find something around here.
Yeah.
Like maybe around here, maybe. Let's see.
Now foreclosure would be NOD.
Yeah.
Sale.
Oh, see, there's one. There's one. Okay, so let me see how to.
I think just click out of that.
Ugh. So I'm still learning this navigation too because it's brand new and they're always updating it. So bear with me. I just don't know how to move this over. Yeah, let me see.
How far at the bottom is there like a X?
I can't see because I have that. Let me see. Move this over. No. Oh, you know what? What I'll do is, since it's all, this whole list is 261 properties, I could just look for the red one.
You probably filter it for NOD too.
Oh, that's right too. Let me see. Oh, just, no. Sort by default. Yeah. Fine. Well, that didn't do anything. Okay. I'm gonna find out. Again, we're constantly updating this, so I'm still learning as you guys are learning. Let me see. You know what? Let me just do this. Just do. It was like over here, right? Or let me just draw a smaller circle. Okay. Oh,
Can you move?
Can you click right on the?
yeah, I'm sure. No, it's not even letting me move it. Okay, I'm gonna send this over. So the good thing is we make this, so we can always ask them to change things around.
No, go back on your whole browser.
This
Yeah,
one?
maybe that will-
No. Oh, it's fine. But it's all work in progress. So as you guys go through this, let me know if there are issues and then you will let me know so that I can let tech know because we do make this ourselves. Let me see. Someone send me a chat. Okay, who sent me the chat? Oh, Diana, will you please send me an email? Let me send you my email. Because once I get exit out of here, I won't have access to this your information. If you can email me, that'd be great. Okay, let me try this again. See if I could click on it fast enough. Oh, there's none here. Okay, well, I'm gonna get that fixed and then later on I'll show you. But what happens is once you click on the color that you want, it'll show you the NOD information and you can get the foreclosure report. Did I show you guys the HOA reports? Let me pull up, I think.
Would that for foreclosure information have name, phone and?
You can get that on the second screen under farmings. I'll show you. So for example, this is one that I just randomly picked a property and it's owner occupied. So it says it here in green. You can pull up the customer service request in case you wanted to pull up like a hard copy sent to your office so you can have it at your listing presentations. School attendance zones, so you can see what school district all the schools are in and their ranking, and calculate is for all your net sheets. So this is where I wanted to show you last time. The HOA and the foreclosure documents is something brand new. So if you wanted to contact the HOA, you'll be able to get the HOA information. So escrow really needs this information. And a lot of times the escrow gets stalled when this information is not given. So this is really important to know where to pull that information from because your escrows will ask you. And then this is the foreclosure report that we now have, which we didn't have before. So this one is not available because this one is probably not in foreclosure, but if the property was in foreclosure, you'd be able to pull the documents out. So here is where you can pull up the property profile and the comps. So I usually go to combined reports to pull up the property profile. So this is just a recap, guys. So I hit combined report. Or you could have just hit comparables, but I wanted to show you the combined reports because that's what I always default to, because that's where you're going to get the most comprehensive reports for everything that you have. So here you'll have all the information listed here. Since it was owner occupied, the mailing and the property address is going to be the same. They will be different if it's not, if it's an absentee owner. And if you scroll this, so all this is just the regular stuff that you'll see in a property profile. All of these blue ones, when you scroll over, it's hyperlinked. So the hyperlinks will give you the grant deeds. So I know in Realist, supposedly they charge you, but here it's free of charge, so you don't have to worry. The only time you might get a charge is if you're going out of state, because out of state properties sometimes require a fee if it's an attorney state. So if we scroll down, you'll see the comps. So we will always have comparable statistics where it'll give you the average, the low, and the high of all the areas in here. So I get a lot of questions where, hey guys, hey Angie, I kind of don't want, I want to have the comps a little higher. How do I change that? So if you go back to the other screen, I'll show you how. You can always adjust your defaults. So let me show you.
I have a question about the
Yeah.
comps.
Yeah,
How does it pull comps?
it pulls from the county register.
Does it
And that's-
pull in the neighborhood, is it radius?
Yeah. So it pulls in, it's almost like a radius, and that's why it's always good to go in and look at your defaults. So if I go to here, comparable sales, you click on that, and then you can change your defaults. So right now it's a 5-mile radius. So you can always change that to a 1/4 mile or 1/2 mile if you want something closer. Or if you're doing commercial, you're gonna have to probably go out of the radius mile because foreclosures, you're not gonna find much comps. So in this sense, I'm just gonna put, I'll put a mile. And then living variance, you can change that up if you want. Minimum bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. And then you just do a search. And it'll change your criteria. So once you do your comp search, you can actually manually look at each report, a property that's pulled, and decide which ones you want to take out. So all you do is unclick the checkbox. And once you prepare the report, that one property will not show up in your comps. That way you can kind of change the comps to your liking. If you want higher valuations, then you look for all the higher ones and delete all the lower ones. Or if you're looking for a lower valuation, you delete all the lower ones and you get the lower valuation. But this, I wanted to show you that you can actually do that, and you can change the default settings, which is really important. You can also go here where it says refine and also change the default settings there instead of having going back to the last page. Any questions in the chat room?
Angie, hi, this is Oscar. I have
Hi.
two questions actually. Okay, the first one, when you were talking about the HOAs,
Yes.
do you have the information of the HOAs that are going into foreclosure as well?
Wait, say that again?
Okay, when people don't pay their HOAs,
Yes.
the HOA can foreclose on them,
Yes.
not only the bank, but them too?
Yeah,
Do
it'll
you
show
have
that, I'm sorry.
Do you have that information, that HOA is on default?
Yeah, you can do that in the farming tab. So I'll show you the farming tab, maybe we'll do a class on farming so I could show you how to play with the farming tabs, and then you can do defaults. I think there's an HOA default function on there. I'll double check, but you can farm for that through me if it's not on Ignite RE. So that is also an option.
The second question is, when you're talking about NODs, can you also get the trustee sales from there too, or just NODs?
No, you can get the trustee sales, like the trustee sale information, like the
Yes.
deeds that are recorded.
Yes, like whenever they're gonna have the auction, like trustee.
Yeah. So what you would do is, when the page that I showed you where you circle with the pencil and you see all the red, you can click on that red button, and then all the documents that are recorded, the trustee sale would be recorded on there. You can look at the trustee sale and then it'll show you all the information on there. Or you can go into the farming tab, and under the farming tab, you can also just look for all NODs instead of doing the pencil that I did. You can look for all NODs, and then the trustee sale documents we can pull up individually after that.
So on the NODs, so can you also get alerts on NODs? Is that, can you set that up too, where it can alert you? when you're
I
looking
don't know if you can get alerts. Well, let me think about that. You can get alerts on farming. So once you create a farm on, let me show you. I don't know if I could show you on here, but just briefly, once you go through this, the farming tab, you can play with the tabs here.
Do you have a university or anything for this, or is it just you?
We're gonna probably make one.
Ah.
Yeah, so once you log into Igniter, there's gonna be a class section. We're probably gonna put a class section in there to teach you guys how to navigate through everything, because they're still doing all the bells and whistles and they're still upgrading everything because it's our own system. So we are able to change it to have better interface with the clients. So we'll probably get there eventually. But we just got the booklets in, so I think they're gonna probably make amendments to that as well later on. So once you click on the farming button, this is where you would go into the farming area. And then you hit on the farming tab. But I'm not gonna go in there now because we're gonna do another class on farming another day. But through farming, once you save that farm and there's any changes within that farm, so if somebody moves or somebody sells their house, your farm list that's saved in your farm will update by itself. So you never have to redo the entire farm again. So that's gonna save a lot of time. So if you do an NOD farm, Oscar, then that farm should update by itself.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because
Yeah.
there's any alerts, and also do you get their emails and phone numbers as well, or just
Yes,
the
you can do
alerts?
that. Yep, right here.
Is
Phone
there
and
a
email lookup.
okay, is there a fee to get the emails or the phone numbers?
Yes, so through this system, there is a fee because there's a lot more accuracy. So if you pull it from the system, the 75% accuracy rate for your phone numbers, which is really, really amazing. And then it's 35% for emails. And they're 5 cents to 7 cents a piece. So it's not expensive at all. Usually you're not gonna, farm 1,000, lists of phone numbers and emails, because then that might cost you a little bit more, especially if you're going to be target farming. And in this marketplace I was talking about last time, you want to really have a laser focused farming, because you don't want to just spread, too thin. And if you go all over the place, you're going to spend more money and more time, and you're not going to be as effective and efficient. So laser focused farming, and this is what this tool gives you. And that's why when it's 5 to 7 cents, you're talking about like $20, $30 once you're done going through all the details of the farm that you're looking for. Yes, Ruben.
Wait, and my last question.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, my last question is, do we also have tax defaults on the system?
Say that again?
Do we have tax
Oh,
defaults?
yeah,
on
yeah.
the system?
That'll be through your farming too. So once you go through the farming tabs, you're gonna see all the different default options. And we'll go through a farming class the next time around, because there's 2 other speakers, and I wanna just show them how to pull up the comps to get the prices right.
Okay.
Ruben, you had a question?
Thank you, Angie.
You're welcome.
Really quick, so will it, if you do a save or like a fave for like a farm area and you're targeting NODs?
Yeah.
Will it alert you if its status changes like to a trustee?
It should.
Okay.
Yeah, it should. Just like it changes whenever there's somebody moves, it should automatically change.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, okay, so back to comps. Okay, so I showed you how to pull the comps the first time around, right? Then there's a second way to pull comps through Ignite.re, which would be this portal. So once you hit the farming tab, you can go into the farming tab, and then there's this first button here. This is property search. So you can go and get your comps through this site too. So on this site, let me show you. Address, site address. Okay, throw an address out.
1611
1611.
South Gulfport.
So,
That's commercial.
oh, give me a residential.
30.
611 North McFarland PH NCPHG on
Fair Minor Park?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, search. Okay, so they've changed some things around here, so let's play with this together. see.
They only sold the foreclosure properties?
No, I'm just showing comps, because today we're talking about how to pull up comps. So I'm showing you two different options to pull comps. So the first option is the Ignite RE option, and then this is gonna be under their farming option for Ignite RE.
So this one,
Let me see.
it's a non-owner occupied.
Yeah, but there should be a way for me to, oh, here. Okay, profile with comps. Okay, so you could do the profile from comps here, and then I'm just gonna do comparable view, so we can take a look. And the reason why I wanted to show you this site is that, so you can look at two different profile systems and have a good, range, so that you can compare the two numbers from both systems. But also on here, the site also gives you the ability to do a phone and email lookup. And that's only gonna be I think it's about 5 cents for that one search for that one property. So here you do comparable view, and then you'll have your comps here, and you can update before. Remember where we were looking at? You can change the defaults. Here you can do the defaults right here, and then you can see the comps here. So instead of the statistics that we showed on the first side, this one will be on the right side where it says comparable details, and you get your median, high, and low. And then here you can always check off whatever you don't want or add to the list, and then it'll generate that report for you. So that way you have two comprehensive reports, and you can cross-reference each other, so that if a client wants to say, see two different reports, it's much more compelling if you have two different reports that look a little different, and show them, hey, this is the price that we should list it at, or this is the price that we should offer at, based on these two reports. So it makes it easier for you, because now you're able to use two different reports and show them the number, what it's going to look like. And if you wanted to pull the email or the phone number of that owner, you can do it on this side as well. Any questions?
Angie,
Yes.
can you show us how we get a phone number of the owner of that?
Okay, let me show you. So once I pulled up this property address, right?
Yeah.
You go down here, and then you click on phone and email lookup. And then it'll look for, so this one's 12 cents. And you could just buy that one particular property for 12 cents. Yep, you're welcome.
$1.20 for 10.
Yeah, it's pretty much a buck. Yeah,
You could farm all day if you just skip Starbucks.
yeah, yeah. And you're gonna get very, very comprehensive group of farm lists, because you're not just going everywhere. You're looking at each detail, and you're gonna be much more effective that way. So, huh?
It's 75%.
Okay, so my part is done. I wanted to show you this part for comps on my end, because that's the title side. And now who wants to go next?
I'll go. real quick.
Okay, Brandon's gonna go up next, guys.
Not
Thank you.
super long.
Angie, can I ask you a quick question? This
Yes,
is
yes.
already- Okay, when you have to pay for the information for the emails and the phone numbers, how do you pay that? How do you pay it?
Credit card.
Right there on the spot?
Apple Pay.
And really quick, yeah,
Yeah.
things transpire and
Yeah.
there's
Thank you.
different, you'll let me know when
Yeah.
we do another session.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Uh-huh.
Blue and green, remind me.
Okay, this is the easiest way to remember, because I had a hard time.
Just owner occupied.
Green means go. Yeah, green means go. Means the owners live there, so go there. Blue means they're absentee, so it's cold. They're not there.
Which could be your farm.
Yeah, you can do your farm, which is totally, cold not being that it's cold as in not to farm it, but cold as in the owner doesn't live there.
Right, okay, got it.
Do you guys have additional questions for Angie? Just hang tight. We'll let Brandon and Glenn go and then we'll just have some more questions.
All right, so as you guys have seen, that with First American, we have a lot of resources, and especially on the title side, there's a lot of great information. I always say though, you got to use it, right, for it to be effective. So another thing that I've brought up in the last couple of classes we've done is the tax estimator. And part of what the tax estimator will help you is pricing right. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to sell it quickly, and that's the whole point of this Price is Right, right? If it's priced correctly, you'll sell it quickly. And that's also knowing what the tax information and the other information to ensure that nothing's going to hinder the transaction. And so that is where your job is to really just make sure that your clients are providing a realistic price for the sale to go through. And as we know, in this type of market, it's not like it has been over the last couple of years where you just stick it on the MLS and it sells 100,000 over asking, right? It's not like that anymore, but it wasn't like that before. And so we're just back to a normal market. So at the end of the day, if you're using these tools that we provide you, this is just going to help you to sell those houses quicker. And so I just always offer, I'm a resource for you. And if your clients have questions when it comes to the tax information or any information on that property, or if you're looking up properties, right, that's where we come in and we can help you to, one, price it right, and to also get the information so that you sell it quickly. Another thing that this is something outside of NHD that I work with a lot of clients on, making sure that you are the value add, right? At the end of the day, if you're farming and you're going around these areas and you're providing them information, if it's information that's going to have a shelf life, it's going to sit there in their house, you're going to be most likely to sell that home, right? And so if you get a client to end up listing with you, in a lot of ways, it's because you provided them with additional information outside of selling that house. And that's where we come in, right? This is where we can help you to get to that stage to price it right. And when you're going into those listing pitches and you're trying to sell the client on why they should use you, providing them with information such as the tax information or information that's additional that's going to set you apart. Again, we're here to help you. We're here to work with you. So again, I have my business cards. I'll put my info in the chat for everybody online, but please reach out because we're here to help you, because we don't do business unless you do business. I don't get a listing, right? I don't get a NHD unless you get a listing. And so I have all the incentive to help you to get to that point. And so before you even get to pricing it and getting those listings, right, with the farming information, call me, ask me for any resources that I have, and start using that information to farm out to your clients. Because at the end of the day, if you're that person who's around all the time providing great value, you're going to be their first call when it comes to them listing that appointment. And the other thing too is if you're talking to them above and beyond when it comes to just like price, they're going to trust you when you tell them you need to price it at this amount, right? Because it's going to sit on the market too long, and then we're going to chase the market down unless you price it right. And the best way to build that trust is to provide them that value ahead of time. And so again, we're your resource. We're here for you guys. So please reach out anytime that you can. And that's it. Turn it over to Glenn, because I know he's got all this great information, and I'll put my info in the chat.
I have great information. All right. You can see some of that. I'll pull my PowerPoint. Let me make sure I got the right thing.
I thought you should have started that. Some music.
And then
Now we need.
and then
We need the price.
Oh, yeah.
where's the one when you price it wrong? Where's the
big
that's when you price it wrong. Okay. All right, that's enough playing around for one day, as everybody tells me. Where's our thing down here? Front side, back side, does it matter?
Coffee. You're missing your phone number.
Oh, you need my number?
Yeah, I need all your contact information. Because what they're gonna do is when I set up the account, they're gonna re-verify all the phone numbers, address and email address, and then you're gonna have a two-step verification.
Oh,
So if I have it in the system wrong, then you're not gonna be able to access it.
okay.
So send me all your contact information, phone number, email, address, and your name too, just make sure your name is spelled correctly. Because I've had one where we had two separate names and two separate phone numbers. She put in her cell number and then she put in the office number, and she couldn't get the two-step verification. So it's really important that you type in everything so that once we look at your account, we make sure that the information we have in the system from your old account matches the new system.
Is PO box auto accepted? for address?
Yeah, you can. Just make sure you remember that every single time it's gonna be the PO box.
Yeah.
So if they ask you for like information, make sure you put in that PO box.
I think so.
I hope so. Okay. So, and can you guys all see what's on the screen and kind of see me? Not that you really need to see me.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So, quick question on, when you're looking up comps, on Angie's system, on the First American system, you've seen the house already before, right? Right, so you're not starting from, you don't really know much about the house. Okay, good, that's important.
Sometimes,
Okay, that makes it much harder.
yes.
So an encouragement on her, you're gonna see me as I go through my process for picking comps. And the whole idea is to show you how we view it. So you're gonna come up with stuff that'll probably help you be a little more accurate on pricing. Price per square foot is a common thing. As appraisers, we're like, don't use price per square foot. But it's the easiest thing to understand. It's the easiest thing for your sellers to understand. So I'm gonna show you how within that range, we can narrow down a more accurate price per square foot. Because in your case, you don't necessarily have to get the exact value right. You know, we think we're getting the exact value right. We're trying to support, real concrete number. In your case, you want to be near the number so that the market is in the right spot for you. So I'll help you work on some of that. There we go. All right, and why this is really important, this is a great idea that whoever came up with, Angie had it, it was a great idea. If somebody else had it, we'll just give credit to Angie, because she got it, she deserves it, so. Just pay attention here. This is the last 6 months. I grabbed Alhambra, Rosemead, San Gabriel. Single family homes. Over 50% sold, were in escrow within 15 days. And over 70% are in escrow within 30 days. You don't want to be one of these people over here. And of course, I know most of the time it's the seller's fault, not your fault, right? And then the price ratio, the longer it's on the market, the worse return you get. This shows that if you price it wrong, you really suffer. Okay? There's always some outliers and stuff, but again, if that thing's not in escrow in 15 days, you need to act fast and readjust, reanalyze. Unless you have unique property. If you have a unique property, it might take longer, then you don't necessarily need to panic. So we'll talk about that. But this is just a graphic of the last 6 months, what we've seen. We're still seeing really short marketing time, low demand, low supply, or moderate demand and low supply. So when you're trying to price a home, there's things that are really important for you to remember. What market segment am I in? Am I in a first-time buyer segment? Am I in an investor segment? Am I in a move-up? Am I in a luxury? Am I in a I have more money than brains segment? That's where you want to be, but you don't get to do most of those. So how much competition is there? Right? If there's no competition, that's better for you. So I'll show you how to look that up. And then the property. Do I have any really negative issues? There's some areas, if you're on a busy street, the penalty is huge. We've seen 15% discounts for being on a busy street in some neighborhoods. And we've seen not as big in other neighborhoods. So, but we need to pay attention to that when you're picking comps. And is there anything unique about my property? Do I have the pool in the backyard that was designed by a friend who worked at Disneyland, right? I did that. There was a house in La Habra that it was all rocks. I mean, you look like you're at Splash Mountain, the other one, the train one, Big Thunder. Bit of an over improvement, but do I have something unique? Do I have a tennis court, helicopter landing pad, guest house, now EDUs? Yes.
How about a wash in the back of the backyard? That's negative.
Yeah, that would probably be a negative, but it depends. Then you want to try and find some comps historically that were there and see how they compare to the market.
Why is it?
It just, some people view it negatively and some people don't. But I don't decide if it's negative or not. I let the market tell me as much as I can.
Could it be a flooding, that it could create flooding at some point?
Most of the
Yeah,
waters are like.
In my mind, no, but some people, yes. And it's just an unattended area now. You know, some other way for people to gain access to your properties. It could be a security thing, any kind of wash like that. So again, anything you need. And then picking the right comps. As an appraiser, I tell my trainees, if you pick the right comps, the rest is easy, right? If you pick what is the best comp, you're already there. Now it's much easier to get to the right price at the end if you pick the right comps. So this is where I love not having to deal with sellers. Sellers get excited about things that really don't matter. This is what matters. Most of the other stuff doesn't matter. Most of the other stuff is very, very minor. I don't care that it's got, they did some custom decorating or something like that. Nobody cares. Because we all have different opinions. Location, lot size, living area, condition. Condition is the biggest problem you guys are going to have pulling title comps, because the title comps don't tell you the condition. But you can take that and you can look it up in MLS and make some notes and help you adjust. And then significant amenities, right? Price per square foot. A house that sells, that doesn't have a pool, doesn't have a tennis court, hasn't been remodeled, doesn't have anything, it's just a house in a yard that kind of has landscaping. That's going to sell for less per square foot than one with extra amenities. So when you're picking comps and you've got amenities, look at the comps with amenities. If you don't have amenities, don't look at the comps with amenities and price it like that, because that's not your house. So
How would you adjust for that?
you would pick the comps without amenities would be the best thing. Or you would see the difference between the ones without amenities and the ones with amenities.
If you didn't have and you had to choose, yeah.
You'd have to adjust. Then you have to be an appraiser and take an appraiser class on adjustment.
Or you could just look at a little price on.
Right.
And look what they use as adjustments.
So the other thing that I showed it on a chart when I was here before. The larger the house, the lower the price per square foot. So I do a 2,000 square foot house. That's in escrow at $500 a foot. And you bring me a 1,200 square foot comp at $600 a foot and say, see, we're good. Not how we do it. It's not how buyers do it. It's not how the market does it. So that's why, again, picking the right comps gets you in the right price per square foot. So I'm not telling you can't do price per square foot. I'm saying you need to get apples to apples and oranges to oranges comparison. I tend to be given, actually, on an apples thing, someone gives you bananas and kiwi and all sorts of weird stuff. So they don't even give me oranges. All right. So a quick thing that I think is a great idea, and I don't know if anybody does that or not. I haven't talked to agents about that much. Is InfoSparks has statistical data that they compile every month that you can look up to see what your competition is, what's going on in your segment. So a quick example. When you go to InfoSparks, you go to this screen here. You can go by city, you can go by zip code, you can go by MLS area, you can go by county, you can go by a whole bunch of things. You choose what you want there, and then you can pick, single family, or if you have a condo, you can be more specific if you need to. And then is it attached or detached, if that matters. You can get into all sorts of things like bedrooms, bathrooms when it matters, but I would just do statistically, pick the city, pick single family. I don't even worry about single attached or detached. And you can actually pick multiple ones here and it'll give you up to 5 charts or 5 graphs. Or you just pick your square footage range and just see what's my month's supply, right? If it's less than 2, then it's a market with very little competition. That's a good sign for you. There's a whole bunch of choices down here. You can also look up the sales price and look at the median sales price of homes similar to your size. So that would be, if you're 1,000 to 1,900 square feet, The median's probably gonna be around 1,500-ish. Unless that neighborhood kind of caps out at 1,500, then it'll be different, but. This is just initial data up front. What am I up against? What's going on in that market? There's lots of choices down at the bottom in InfoSparks. So that would be a 5 to 10 minute search about your neighborhood and about your segment. So I'm going to go through my process. I grabbed one, got 147 days on the market already. Right? What do we say? Over 70% are in escrow within 30 days. We're way past that. This is a bigger house. Alhambra actually doesn't have houses that are that big in general, other than the Pyrenees Castle that sold a couple years ago, which took forever to sell. I think it took 2 years to sell. So they've got it listed at 577 a square foot. I'm going to talk in your language for you. It actually started out at 1.299. And what you'll find is that's the problem, is when they start too high, then you're in trouble. So, and this is a challenging one because there's not a lot of data. So that's why I'm giving you this example. What condition is this property in? Big deal condition, right?
Average.
46.
That looks remodeled to me. That's what all you guys say. Remodeled kitchen. Of course, it was remodeled in 1992. But yeah, pretty average condition, right? In appraisal context, we call that C4. If hasn't been remodeled in 15 years or more, it's basically ready to be done again. So I'm giving this example because this is hard. When there's a lot of data, it's much easier. This is kind of at the upper end of this section. This is the southern section of Alhambra. So I ran the data for, we're 2183 square feet, so I went 1,700 to 2,700. The 1,700 might even be outside the range. If someone wants a 2,200 square foot house, would they really want a 1,700? Probably not. What? No, this is just doing a regular search. So when I do a search in MLS, I start with radius, 1 mile. So in the title one that she gave, I would start radius 1 mile, 20% living area. You could go 25% if you want. The one reason when you do expand is you do want to know what happened on your block in your little pocket. So if yours is 2,200 and you have a sale that was 3,000 square feet that went for 1.4, and you have a 1,200 square feet that went for 950, right? So you know you're higher than 950 and lower than 1.4 most likely. At least it gives you in your brain contextually. Those aren't comps. You're not going to give those to the borrower unless they're unrealistic. But
So if you're between cities, do you stick to the same city?
then I just add the city as the restriction. Right, so you know, in the search, you can put radius 1 mile, you type in the address, click on it. I do 1 year, but if you want to do less than that, you can. And again, in certain situations you get where that 1 mile doesn't work, you gotta go farther, and sometimes you're in a goofy area where you actually want to do less, and then you might want to draw a shape. But I'll show you how to do that. So anyway, this is the data with just a 1 mile, or actually 1.5 mile radius search. I like the radius search because it tells me how far my comps are from me, because I believe that the comps closest to you in general are the best comps. Not every time, but in general. So it gives you this, gives you how when it's sold, that's going to matter too. Do I have that on here? Maybe I cut that off. So the thing that I see here is number one, the highest sale we've had is 1.2, and we started at 1.3 for a house in average condition. Plus our house, just so you know, no special amenities, no pool, no spa. I think there was an unpermitted bonus room next to the garage that was not big. So nothing special about our house. And yet we're priced as if we're special. We are not all special, which isn't bad. All right, so we already see that we got an issue here. And then look at the price per square foot. The ones most similar to ours are 434 and 517, but we're at 577. Now this one here turned out to be a, one that was in very original condition, actually even worse than ours. So we know we're probably a little higher than that. This one actually turned out to be a 1,600 square foot house with an EDU, but fully remodeled. So this ended up not being a good comp, but it still tells you the initial look at the data says we have an issue. And then if you look at the other listings, there's a pending on Vega, fully remodeled. And then there's, I think that's the one. That one was fully remodeled, solar, all that kind of stuff. And I forget what the one on 6 was. But this is just the initial glance at the data. And if you look at the price per square foot within your range, you see that the ones closer to our range are a lower price per square foot, which is the biggest thing. And the high sale is lower than our asking price. Yeah, in some markets, that doesn't mean you can't be above that, but
Excuse me,
yes.
so what would be your suggested asking price for that property?
Oh, we're gonna get there. But I'm gonna be a little dorky and nerdy in my process, I guess. I'm exposing you to the fascinating yet dorky minds of the appraisers. I don't expect you to be able to do this, but I do lots of charts and graphs in my appraisals. And what they do is they visually help me understand value and different different things that we do in the appraisal. So here's that data set. There's not that many. There's only what? 7 sales. But still, it tells us everything we need to know. Our house is this big. If you grab these houses, you're going to expect a higher price per square foot. If you take the median of this data set, your median price per square foot is going to be up here. But if you chart the trend line, the bigger it gets, the lower the price per square foot. This tells us that we should be somewhere upper 4s to low 5s, maybe, right? It doesn't have to be on the line. But it tells us it's certainly not at 6, especially since we're average condition, no amenities, our lot's not dramatically big. So again, this is a visual representation of what I just showed you in the previous summary of look at it and see where the price per square foot is. So what makes sense, right? $1,000,001 list price makes sense. I mean, I can't give you a value because that's considered an appraisal and I didn't do a full appraisal. Right. But if you start at 1.1, especially now, it's been on the market, it's a cold stale listing, nobody wants to look at it again. So you got to do something dramatic to grab their attention. So even if it's worth 1.15, if you drop it to 1.1, bring in interest, it'll go to 1.15. But if it's not, it'll still bring in interest and you'll get whatever whatever the market will pay for it. But they started at 1.29 and we're going to go to 1.259. Gee, thanks, right? Now that doesn't mean that the seller wasn't the problem, right? So when I see that, I don't assume that the agent was the issue. But I'm just trying to help you understand so you can educate your sellers, right? Because then the house down the street, I like my house better. It doesn't matter. It's 1,000 square feet larger than your house. It doesn't matter. You like your house better. Right? These are the facts. So that's a challenging one, right? That's not a lot of data, and at the edge is in the south part of Alhambra, that kind of stuff. Because if you pick comps from the north part of Alhambra by San Marino, those are probably going to sell for more. But I didn't go up there.
How many come at least you need to do appraisal?
Well, as appraisers, we use a minimum of 3.
At least 3.
We're actually required to look at all potential comparable sales. That's what USPAP tells us to do. We're doing more and more. I do more charts and graphs that show all of the comps and where mine sits, and then why mine sits where it sits.
Sometimes when we get on the title and they say no comp, what can we do with that?
There's always comps somewhere. Again, then this new one, that had a pretty nice list that she came up with. On Realist, when I try to run comparables, I get that no comparables. I'm like, all I do is yell at the screen as a liar. So. All right, so let's move on to the next thing.
How do you get a comparable from Realist? Oh, I see.
Yeah, I can click on the Realist, right? I can pull up the profile and hit comparables on the tab. I don't do that. it's a waste of my time.
You know,
But it's not life. So.
yeah, sometimes they say that they did, additional without a permit and it doesn't count
Right.
when you do it.
Yeah, what they're offering here is much better than what's on your list. So that's, the only drawback to any of that is it doesn't give you, it gives you just the numbers. It doesn't give you the condition or the amenities or the things that can push the value one way or the other. But it gives you a ballpark. It's great data. I definitely would encourage you to set those parameters. All right, here's one where I'm not even gonna use 3 comps because I'm not doing an appraisal, I'm just not gonna do that. 101 days on the market. Actually, this has been on since last July. Some of you are probably familiar with it. This is a beautiful, amazing home.
This is the today's status.
This was as of
Yesterday.
yesterday,
Thank you.
maybe this morning, but I think that's late last night, probably.
Where it dropped from?
It started at 180
Wow.
in July of last year.
Not even one.
Could have been last
It
year.
expired. It expired on January 1st, then was relisted in April,
For how much?
1.6.
No wonder it's, and they only dropped it 34,000?
So yeah, I'll show, I've got later in it. So I just want to point out a couple of things, right? So you're getting this listing. This 101 is a lie essentially because MLS allows if you take it off for a period of time, they start the numbers over. It's still been on the market for basically 6 months prior to that. So we had another 180 days. So now we're 300 days on the market. And I don't know what was going on the 3 months that it wasn't. So a couple of things, right? Brand new. It's a 1,574 square foot house with a 321 square foot ADU. So now we got that new ADU thing. I had to bring that fun one in, right? How do we price that?
321.
Yeah, the ADU is kind of small, but it worked out great because when I ran data, I found one that's similar ADU.
No, that's big one.
Better to be lucky than good. That's what my dad always said. So one of the things that I think is really important for you to understand, there is now an ADU section. And I want you to fill it out. Because that helps me search and it helps me analyze. But it also can help you search. Assuming all your fellow agents are using it properly. Right, so I just ran the search, I go to the radius search again. Single family. I didn't say ADU, I just want to look at all the data initially. I did 1.5 miles. Because there's 2 things we've got different about our property that are kind of unusual, right? Number one's brand new. And number 2, it's got an ADU. So you expand your parameters. And now we got something unique that we have to look at. The problem with the ADUs is you guys always lump the living area together. So if somebody's got an 800 square foot ADU, it's not even gonna probably pop up on my search. In this case, that doesn't bother me because I have a small ADU. Right? So expand the living parameters and start with less restrictions. And then we can add restrictions later if we get too much data. So this is the data that you get with that search, right? Look at the range here. There's an $800,000 difference between the highest and the lowest. Which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that. So ours is built in 2022, all right, and has an ADU. Well, it's not looking at the year built. I got one that says 2018, one that says 2022. So right away, I start looking at those. So that's number 1. What did we do? We eliminated a bunch of other stuff because it's not relevant in our unique situation. Sometimes when there's not many comps to choose from, it actually makes it easier, even though it's ugly. All right, so the one in Montecito here, it does not have an ADU. It was actually not built in 2018. It was remodeled down to the studs in 2018, which is different than being brand new. The market likes that, but not as much as brand new. And it's what, 1,900 and some odd square feet. So it's basically the combined square footage of our other one. This is the best comp you could ever have for our property. I cannot believe that there's a comp that good here. It was brand new, similar lot size, The main house was like 100 square feet or less different. And the ADU was 349 square.
That's great.
Now, what did that, I mean, talk about a perfect comp. My job is done. Now it's just filling in the stuff, just explaining what's going on, right? I can grab any of the comp I want, throw them in there and adjust them. I know what's going on. Because this one too tells me a lot. No ADU, not really brand new. It's gonna go up for not being really brand new. It's gonna go up. And there's still they're paying a lot of money for an ADU here in this case. More than I've seen in a lot of areas.
Glenn, I have a question.
Yes,
So if it's torn down to the bare studs and hypothetically speaking, it's brand new, but
the market sees it differently.
market
And it's
is differently.
when you click on Realist, it'll say MLS 2018, and it'll say year built in Realist 1937 or whatever. That tells you that they left a wall for taxes.
And they marketed it as 2018 bill?
Yeah, we see that all the time. It clarified once I dug into it. And then, again, this was that one 349 square foot ADU. You can't get a better comp than this. This actually turned out to be a very easy one to figure out a rough price range, right? So we know, I think one of the other things here, this one had paid for solar. Ours didn't mention anything about that. So that might make that one a little more valuable than ours. And plus the fact that they've dropped it, even going at 1.6 and not being in escrow yet, that tells me that it's maybe not quite as good as the other one.
Glenn,
Yes,
so you say that the one with solar, you would consider more valuable?
paid for solar.
Okay.
We give value to solar, the market will pay for it. They won't generally pay what the cost is because it's a future benefit of the energy savings. So if it costs 30 grand for that, they'll pay something less than that.
You talk about when they already pay off.
It has to be all paid off.
Yeah.
So when you buy the property, you get solar and you don't have any extra bills. You're not making a payment on it. You're not paying a lease. You're not doing a power purchase agreement, anything like that. Solar again, just like the ADUs, nobody pays the full cost up front because you don't get the benefit until you have lower bills or get rent. So why did this not sell? That was an amazing looking property, right? It's a beautiful looking one, right? They started at 1.8. And that rate comp happened in September of 2022. September 9th, they should have went, bam, dropped their price to 155, and that thing would have been in escrow within 2 weeks. Now they still haven't sold it. And now it's a tired listing. It might sell for less than it would have sold had they recognized that. So that's the type of information. Maybe you can't talk your seller into it, but this is concrete information that then it's like you just tell the seller, hey, don't blame me, right? So, and it could be a location.
More commercial versus the other one.
Yeah, it could certainly be a location. But at least you have a starting point. The other one actually was kind of not a great location either. I think it was across from a water, the one that sold was like some water tanks and stuff like that. Okay, so real quick, simple example. We have a 1,200 square foot home on a 6,000 square foot lot in average condition. I can send this to you if you can't see it. I try to make it as big as possible. But when you run data, if you run a search for that, right, you run 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. That's kind of a small search, but it gives you a pretty tight range here of price per square foot and stuff like that. So if you're in average condition, no amenities, it shouldn't be hard to figure that out. And then especially when you look at the comps, this is actually, I drew a map. So I assume the property was in here. I just drew the rectangular map. When you click on the map, you can do a radius, you can draw a polygon. You can use the pencil and draw any shape you want. You can do rectangles, you can do any of that stuff. So I just drew, okay, now we're in the Southland. Let's see what's going on in that local immediate neighborhood. this is pretty convincing. It's a pretty tight range for our property, right? 1,200 square feet, average condition. These actually all turned out to be an average condition in here. The ones that are most similar, 785, a little bigger at 820. We would assume we're less than that. So high sevens maybe. And then from there, you go your pricing strategy. What's your pricing strategy? Hey, if your pricing strategy is go 749 to really get it to go crazy, that's fine. But at least you know where we would expect it to land. So again, those were great comps close by. That was a much easier situation. Not as easy as that ADU though.
Question.
Yes.
As an appraiser, do you look at what the market's doing? Like if conditions are going this way, I mean, you're
Yes.
gonna find the historical.
Yeah, we make market trend adjustments. What we're seeing right now, this is about prices right. I did want to get into that. We don't have a lot of time, but market peaked in April, May, fine through most of 2022, and since then it's prepped back up, right? Especially in the entry level. The one thing that was interesting, if this was in good condition, if this is remodeled, there's no comps for that. I reran the data, I expanded the data. I got a few sales. The highest wasn't even 1 million, but it was an average condition as you expanded and stayed within the city. So for you, that's okay, because you can just say, I'm gonna add, I think it would, an average would be 800. I think I'm gonna go 875 and see what happens, right? As an appraiser, I'm screwed. I gotta go find that good condition company. So that's where you'd rather be you than me. All right, so that was another good example. Easy if it's average condition, hard if it's in remodel condition, because there's not conclusive data. All right, so we'll go to questions now. Here's my contact info. Anybody who wants this slide deck, email me, I'll send it to you. We also have a survey now where you can answer some questions about the presentation and things that you wish it had or wish it didn't have or other topics. So that's what that QR code is. That is just a link to a survey. But questions, we got any questions from the peanut gallery there?
Glenn, what's your charge for a pre-listing appraisal?
For a pre-listing appraisal, I charge $8,000.
You're hired.
It depends on the property. For a full-on appraisal, I start at like $550. I do a restricted appraisal, which is a restricted report, because you already know about the property. You don't need me to describe the property. I do those for $400, and it's just a shorter report, but still meets the full requirements of that. And then as the complexity goes up, if it's got an ADU, I'm going to charge more. If it's a units, I'll charge more. If they're, I have a lot of experience with luxury properties, I charge more. We do that, and we give some charts and graphs that shows how.
Excuse me, Glenn.
Yes.
Luxury properties, you said, do you go by the square footage or for the luxury properties, do you go for square footage? How do you go for luxury?
Say that again.
Like, where do you base?
Oh, for
your
luxury?
pricing for luxury?
Luxury, there's a lot more. It's not just square footage. You start with the square footage, but you want stuff with similar amenities, similar age, similar quality. There's luxury and there's luxury. Right, so
But minimum from every.
you want to compare it to the similar age, similar conditions, similar amenities, similar location. That's an area, Arcadia in particular. If you're in the upper part of Arcadia, if it's on like Foothill or Michelinda or Santa Anita or Baldwin, it's like a 15% hit for that. Even for a beautiful property.
Are appraisers required or do they, go check out permits and things like that from the city?
We are not required to. We, whatever your due diligence is when there's a situation like that. And one of the questions I had on the condo questionnaire stuff. Lenders are getting to be real idiots and not getting us the condo documents. And then we have not the full information in appraisals, and they condition us later and slow down the deal. Hey, this doesn't match the condo questionnaire. Well, you didn't get it.
You mean the CCNR?
The condo questionnaire It would be the HOA information, HOA, how many units, how many rented, is there any pending litigation? Blah, blah, blah. There's questions that are on the appraisal that we have to put in the appraisal that we need. So if that report is, if you can get that report, get it to the appraiser. If you're the listing agent, buyer's agent, doesn't matter. If they give you the ability to get that information, we just had a discussion about that in our company today. That it's, the lenders are resisting, the lenders are not getting it. Anything you can get us keeps makes the property sell, the process go faster. It prevents delays. So
Before-
anything like that.
Before we go any further, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording, but we can continue with the questions.
Yeah.